I'm with professional boxer James Richardson. Appreciate you doing this, James. How are you doing and how's the training going?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Training's going as good as it can do, like through lockdown, but I'm quite lucky that obviously my dad's my coach, my sister's on GB, so we're sort of able to train as good as normal kind of thing, so it's not been too bad.
Now you've turned professional now after a long amateur career. Why now and how excited are you?
It was sort of bittersweet turning professional now because obviously professional boxing has always been the thing that I've wanted to do it as. I mean, obviously the Olympics, boxing for England, it's always a dream that, but whenever anyone's asked me what I want to do, it's always been professional boxing. But obviously turning pro now in a pandemic, it's a bit bittersweet because there's no coming up. There's no excitement, there's nothing to look forward to really, so it's a bit of a shame really, but I'd have turned pro 2 years ago. But my dad wanted me to stay in the amateurs a bit longer, get a bit more experience, and yeah, signed pro last year, so finally getting there.
Now, I've not seen you box. How would you describe your style? And are you altering it slightly to suit the professionals?
Yeah, so I don't know, really, probably a bit of a boxer fighter. I mean, I can box and move, I can stand and fight, sometimes too much to what my dad don't like really, but certainly trying to change a little bit, even towards the end of my amateur, like the last few years boxing in the amateurs, sort of a bit more of a well, not exactly a pro style, but sitting down on the punches more, a little bit more movement with the head rather than the feet, rather than the old tippy-tappy point scoring system like it used to be years ago. Obviously, I've sparred pros for a few years now, since I was younger, and for a couple of rounds, I'd be on my feet, moving, boxing, and I find it fairly comfortable with some people, but once you get into 4, 5, 6 rounds of sparring, they just seem to come on so much stronger, obviously not using all the energy bouncing around like you would do as an amateur and sitting down on their shots a bit more. So just trying to make small little adjustments, really.
And who are the fighters you like to watch?
I like watching anyone, really. I just like boxing, so any big fights I always watch. I mean, obviously your big ones like your Canelos and people like that, they're always great to watch, even just his style. I can't box nothing like him with his head movement or out like that, but it's just someone's style like Canelo's or Billy Joe's where they're just so good at what they do.
How much has the sport meant to you during your amateur career and that continuing on into the professional?
Yeah, massive. I mean, I started boxing about 10-year-old, I think. We started at kickboxing, but I was no good at it. I didn't really enjoy it. So we went into boxing and it never really became, I don't think it ever really got serious for me till I was about 16-year-old. And it was always like my main sport ever since. I mean, we just went to the gym to get fit and learn how to fight, basically. Stick up for yourself. Got to the point where I got offered if I wanted to start competing. I just did it because I enjoyed it. I just liked having a fight. So it was just more fun than anything. It was never something as a kid. I mean, you hear all these boxers now where they say they watched this fight, it inspired them, and they walked into the gym for the first time wanting to be a world champion. It was never like that with me. It was just fun. And that was all that got me into it, just enjoying it. And obviously it got more serious as I got older and won the junior national championships. And from around that year, it's when it really started getting serious for me then.
Majority decision. Richardson in the red corner.
How hard was it to stay consistent in the sport? You know, my son's similar age to you, boxed a similar length of time to you, and I've seen it that commitment you need to put in. It's not normal, is it? It's very, you're doing something special with your life there to have that discipline for so many years. How difficult was it?
Yeah, it's hard, you know. I mean, never really went out that much with mates at school, especially towards the end of school, because I won nationals when I was in my last year of secondary school. So when your mates are all out and that, and I'd be training, and even the years before that, it'd be mainly just everything to do around boxing. I'd be at boxing shows, at training on a weekend, and it got to the point where you just get used to it and you enjoy that more than anything. So I didn't really find it too bad because I enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong, when you're training for a fight and your training's hard and you're dieting, it's horrible, you hate it. But as soon as the fight's over and you're wanting to do it again. So I never really found it too bad.
Can you remember your first fight, the first time you went in the ring? I know your dad was nervous. What was you like?
I was just excited. I mean, my first time was a skills bout, and it was a real old style of skills bouts where the first round was just jabs, second round was just straights, and the third round was anything. But I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. And you know what? The best trophy I ever got from a fight was after my skills bout. It was by far the best trophy I've ever had.
And you've had a lot, so.
Yeah, it was by far. It still is the best trophy. I mean, there was all in a box at one point, and they all got smashed, but it's still the best one that I've got.
Now, you boxed at your dad's club, Scunthorpe Boxing Club. What does that club mean to you and the people there?
Yeah, it's like a family. And you hear it a lot. Everyone from gyms say it's like a family, but I don't think that was just something that happened. It was never a plan for Dad to open up a boxing club or anything like that. I mean, the club that we started at, everyone knows what I'm on about, but it was run by a clown basically. And when that eventually shut down, we used to train out of a couple other lads' garage. We did just for a year or so, and we never went to another gym. And I think the council was pestering Dad. They wanted him to open, so he opened up his own gym. And I mean, from where that gym started to where it is now, it's crazy. It is. I mean, when we first started, we had a few boxes from the old gym that stayed with Dad and that, but we had literally, I think, 2 bags on the wall and a bit of spray paint on the floor. So to see where that gym's come from to where it is now, it's absolutely crazy, really.
Now, you was there for years, like I said, a long, successful amateur career, and you won a national title, didn't you? What are your memories of that? And you boxed for England.
Yeah, so I won. I'd been in championships. I think I won them on my 5th time. I'd won the regionals a couple of I think I'd won the regionals 3 or 4 times, but every year I kept getting one step closer. And I think it was the year I won them, England hosted the 3 nations. So England had 2 boxers. So the 2 boxers in the national final got to box for England, like the 2 weeks after or 3, whenever it was. And I remember I think it was in Liverpool for the semi-finals. I remember warming up for the fight, having to sit down just because my legs were going. I was just that nervous. And that was at the stage where boxing became sort of really serious for me. I mean, all the other years I played for a footy team as well. So obviously boxing came first. So I missed out on games and training for the boxing. And then to actually, obviously, the first fight was, well, when I won the semis, I was boxing for England. I knew that for a fact. So that was took so much relief. It did. It was crazy. And then to actually go and win the final as well, to go in there as the national champion, it was absolutely awesome. Awesome feeling.
What did it mean to represent England?
Oh, it's awesome. There's no better. I mean, I've done it on a couple of shows. I've boxed for England on 2 different occasions, and when you've got the flag and you've got your England kit, and it's just awesome. It's completely different, from just going into a club fight. I don't know why, it's 2 people in the ring having a fight at the end of the day. One's got a blue kit, one's got a red kit, but to say you're boxing for your country, it's just something different.
Now, your sister Gemma, who I've interviewed, is on the GB squad at the moment, and she talks about how important your dad's role was in that. Your dad being your main coach for both of you. What are his qualities, James, as a boxing coach?
He obviously knows what he's on about. You know what I mean? We've had arguments in the past where I say I'm right, he says he's right, and we have different ways, but he just knows what he's on about. I mean, he gets a lot of stick because he's never boxed or anything, but it's funny because the people that give him the stick for that are the ones that he's more successful than as a coach. So, but he works it as hard as what we do. He does. I mean, he'll take us. In the years that I've boxed in championships, he'll work a Saturday night shift, come home, set off straight away to championships at 7, 8 in the morning in Birmingham, Manchester, wherever we'd be going. We'd be there all day. And obviously, at 15, 16, I was 75 kilos. So I was on right near the end as well. We'd be away there all day. He'd then drive us back, get back home 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then he'd finally go to bed after his night shift. And he dedicated it as much as what we did.
Now, I love talking to people like you, James, because I know the commitment it takes to keep going all these years. with setbacks, ups and downs in boxing. It's extremes, isn't it? And it's sad to see people when they leave the sport, you know, and usually it's over a defeat they don't agree with or something like that. How have you stayed motivated and kept it going when you've had those setbacks?
I've just always had that bigger picture. Do you know what I mean? I've always wanted, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a pro boxer. So even when the stuff in the amateurs was bad and I hated it, and I always had that thing that I still wanted to do. And even now, I'm just enjoying it. I mean, I enjoy training. You know, I don't enjoy it all the time. I don't enjoy dieting all the time, but I enjoy fighting as well. So it's just the adrenaline of it, the excitement. It's just something it's just enjoyment more than anything.
Now, it looks like you help out coaching as well at Scunthorpe. Would you like to run your own club one day, like your dad's doing?
No, never. I couldn't do it. Could never do it. I do help out coaching. I don't mind doing pad work with the boxers and working corners and that, but I could never run a group session or anything. If I'm working with someone that wants to box, that does box, that's willing to actually train hard and learn, don't bother me. I'll help them out all day long. But when you've got people in the gym messing about, pissing about, they don't really want to be there, I couldn't deal with it. Got no patience.
It's an intense sport. What are your hobbies outside of it to take the stress away from it?
I don't really have much, to be fair. It's just most of my stuff's to do with boxing. Obviously, at home, you got your own life and that with your family, friends, and whatever else. But I don't really say I have many other hobbies, to be honest.
Yeah. You're Leeds United fan, though, aren't you?
Yeah, don't hold that against me.
Now, Gemma's in the GB squad, doing incredibly well, the top of the amateur sport. And when I interviewed her, she said you were the inspiration that she's always had to copy her big brother. What does that mean to hear that and what she's done with her life? That you role model for it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, Gemma always said she wanted to win a national title because I did and copy me, but she's raised the bar a bit, ain't she? I think she's won 5 of them now, 3 Europeans, the Worlds, however many box cups and GB. And so, yeah, it's mad. It gives me something to aim for because she won't overshadow me in the pros. Now I have to start going out and doing stuff to get my own back on
her. So, like you say, you're turning professional now, and boxing's not been here because of COVID, but small hall shows should be coming back before the end of the year. We're hoping. When do you hope to fight, and what's your short-term goals as a professional?
Short term, I just want to get that first fight done. I'm just looking forward to finally starting a bit of a career as a professional boxer. But we've been told around August, September time, hopefully. But obviously that could all change like it has done all year kind of thing. But hopefully, I mean, September, I think it'll be about 22 months since my last fight. So just to get back in there and just to get a few fights under my belt, start progressing then.
It is expensive being a professional boxer with medicals and that. Are you still looking for sponsors and that to go along on the journey with you? I know boxers don't like asking, but it's the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had my medicals yet because there was no point in wasting 7 months of medicals without being able to actually fight. So, I mean, my work have been good. They sponsored me even when I was still an amateur. So they've said that they'll sponsor me again, but yeah, certainly always looking for more sponsors. It's always a massive help.
And you've signed with one of the best promoters in the North East, haven't you, Carl Greaves? So what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's known Carl for years since they was younger in training. And so obviously I've known Carl through the boxing for a long time. And as I got older, I used to spar some of his boxers. And I think, you know, Carl's reputation speaks for itself. He's very well respected and he certainly knows his stuff. So certainly someone that would have the trust in to help guide me.
And last question, James. What does this sport mean to you? It's obviously an addiction because it takes over your life and now it's your professional career. What does it mean to you?
Everything, to be fair. I mean, like I say, it's been certainly my life since I was more or less 10-year-old. So without boxing, I don't know what I'd really do. I mean, it is just something that I massively enjoy and something that I love to be a part of. whether it's going to watch boxing or be involved in any way, whether I'm not actually fighting, it's still something that I love being around.
Could you imagine your life without it?
No, I don't really want to be honest with you. Obviously, it'll get to the point one day where you have to retire and that, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
Yeah. Well, the best of luck, James, with your professional career, and I hope you got plenty of support and all the best with it. Good luck.
Nice one, thank you very much.